What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/AmITheA butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it massively helps out our channel. And with that being said, let's get straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Filipino Fairy. Would I be the arsehole if I reported my upstairs neighbour for their child with Down syndrome? I live in a condo and the upstairs neighbour has a growing child with Down syndrome. When he was younger, it was just mildly irritating when he'd stomp on the floor and run around. I didn't mind much, I kinda just drowned it out with music with my earphones. As the years passed by though, he grew heavier and therefore louder. He'd jump and yell and scream at the top of his lungs. My condo being the floor underneath theirs, I hear all of this. This goes on from 7 AM when he wakes up until 2 PM. Then he takes a nap, then he goes back to jumping around and throwing things at around 4 PM. I never really thought it was this bad because I go to school and I'd be gone all day, but now I'm here every day taking classes on Zoom and writing papers in my room, so I hear everything. I tried knocking on their door once or twice and asked if they could try to control the noise. I didn't bring up the kid, just asked for them to lower the volume on whatever they were doing. This didn't really work, she just said okay and then closed the door on me both times. I kinda reached the edge when I was writing a paper for class and my head was leaning on the wall of my condo and the kid made such a loud bang that it vibrated even my walls and basically bumped my head. Then he just started yelling and yelling. I knocked on her door again and asked if she could keep her child quiet or try to control the noise he made. I know that she can't do much about it and it must be so exhausting taking care of the kid, but I just didn't know what to do anymore, so I just begged for some peace. I said verbatim, "Hi, I'm just trying to finish my paper for school, please, I beg, can you try to keep him quiet for just an hour or two? I just need this moment." She started yelling at me, told me I was discriminating against her kid, and even said, "You're the worst type of person. I fucking hate your kind. You're all so selfish and heartless. I'm suffering and you talk about the noise my kid makes. He's fucking ill. It's not his fault. Fuck you." Then slammed the door on me. Now I don't know what to do. If I could study at a cafe, I would. If I could noise-proof my walls, I would, but sadly I have no other options. I want to report a unit to the building manager because I'm desperate. I don't really know what they'll do, so I'm afraid trying that would ruin their lives and I'd be the arsehole. Or I'd be called discriminatory and selfish. I don't know. What should I do? Reddit. Would I be the arsehole if I reported my upstairs neighbour for the noise her child is making? And we're going to start right away on this one with Ancella Jonla saying, "Not the arsehole, the well-being, comfort and rights of a child, even a disabled one, do not trump yours when you are both in your own separate homes. You should never have to sacrifice your right to a peaceful living environment for the sake of someone else. Your neighbour, through no fault of hers or her child's, is not suitable for an upstairs unit. She should not be living above other people if she is unable or unwilling to curb her child's behaviour. Take it to the building manager. Don't make it about the disability, make it about the noise and your inability to engage in recreational or educational activities because of it. If your units are functionally identical, you could perhaps suggest a swap. That way, they're on the ground floor and you are upstairs, and it solves the issues with a few hard feelings and without the mother having to find somewhere else to live." And the crazy fangirl says, "Not the arsehole at all. As someone who has autism, that mum is my least favourite kind of ableist. You are not an arse for wanting a quiet place to do your work. The mum acts like her child can do no wrong. Fact is that most people, no matter how neurodivergent they are, can learn. At different paces, yes, but that mother is doing a horrible job if the noises are staying the same or getting worse." And Galaxy Bookworm says, "Not the arsehole, report it. Record the kids stomping and screaming and send that to the landlord." And Kaleidoscope Eyes says, "Not the arsehole, you have tried communication and she was nothing but horrible. I understand the kid's special needs, but you're a person as well and deserve some peace." And we finish up with Hanny Love saying, "Band-aid solution, noise cancelling headphones. Uncomfortable solution, take it up with the landlord. Silly solution, switch apartments." I kind of thought that was a good idea when the first commenter said, I thought, yeah, switch apartments sounds like a good idea to me. If they are identical apartments, of course. But now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Throwaway Command. Am I the arsehole for evicting my son and his pregnant girlfriend because he wants his real dad and not me? When my son was 10, I caught my wife cheating and got a divorce. I tested all my children and 3 were mine, but my oldest 10-year-old son was not. I was mad, but eventually got over it and did not want to treat him separately than his siblings at first. Unfortunately, his mum told him about his bio dad against our agreement, and at 18, he is regularly calling him and speaking to him. Well, he is 20 now and he got his girl pregnant. Since she had nowhere to stay, I decided to let her move in with my son so they could continue going to college while raising their kid. Well, my son's relationship with his bio dad really took off, I guess. The emotions and everything all came to a head recently at the child's baby shower, where he gifted his bio dad a shirt that said Grandpa on it. Moreover, he has started occasionally calling me by my first name, even in front of our other kids. He has sort of made it clear to me that biology is more important than the man who raised him. So instead of giving him a gift on the baby shower, I quickly drew up a 30-day eviction notice after a quick call with my attorney and replaced my present with that. I'm just tired of the disrespect, but apparently he did not see it coming because he was completely blindsided. I should also add that I overheard him saying other things like my real dad was a Marine and other stuff when he thinks I'm not home. I told him to go live at his real dad's house if he wanted. The only reason he doesn't live there now is because it's a single bedroom apartment. I am also going to stop paying his tuition next semester and just kind of cut him off completely. Am I the arsehole for evicting my son and his pregnant girlfriend because he doesn't think of me as a dad anymore? And we'll start with illustrious T on this one saying, son says, you are not my dad. You are not the grandfather to my children. My real dad was a Marine. Stepdad says, okay then, go to your real dad if you want help. Son, with surprised Pikachu face. And then says, everyone sucks here. You for not talking about your feelings sooner to your son. Your son for not realizing how much his comments hurt and relying on you for help while simultaneously trying to erase your relationship with him. And Don't Drink the Coffee says, everyone sucks here. Does he even know that you're hurt by him not calling you dad anymore? If he has never lived on his own, then he has no idea how much he has relied on you. His actions were insensitive, but he might have been oblivious to that. But also serving an eviction notice during a baby shower, during a pandemic. It seems like you chose the most dramatic time to ruin this man's life. Do you really think of him as your son while willing to do that? I doubt it. And Purple Dot says, yeah, I see why you're hurt, but it's obvious you're doing this out of pure spite and anger to hurt him and his girlfriend and child, and that just makes you the arsehole. And Bagel Boot says, I really think you're the arsehole here. Your feelings are hurt, and that is understandable, but he is allowed to have a relationship with his bio dad too. Once he has this baby and understands the magnitude of everything you've given him, I think he will see you in a different, more appreciative light. Kicking him and his pregnant girlfriend out while also telling them that he can pay for college on his own is really harsh. You gave them an eviction notice as a baby shower gift. Come on man, you're just trying to be mean at this point. Again, your feelings of being hurt are valid, but you can't dictate how he feels about his biological dad. And Rune Dude says, not the arsehole, there is definitely some issues there. He needs to respect you, especially since you raised him. Basically he wants some of the other person to be his father and his kid's grandfather, but expects you to pay for his tuition and housing. No way. Stand your ground and let's see how his real father helps him. People have a lot of parental issues on here. They will assume that you treated him like shit and whatnot. Only you know what happened, so be reflective and then decide. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation and what would you do in it? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for calling my cousin-in-law a bitter cow because her daughter wasn't the first great-grandchild anymore? My cousin-in-law, Stella, has been obsessed with having the first great-grandchild in our family ever since she married my cousin 5 years ago. When her daughter was born, she was constantly going on and on about how she was my grandfather's first great-grandchild and how her daughter was the family legacy. It was annoying, but her daughter is adorable, so we all sucked it up and humoured her. Well, 3 months ago, my older brother, who is my grandfather's golden boy, found out he had a son. Without going into too much detail, my brother met Kira while he was at a very low point in his life and was taking a break, i.e. hiding away, from life in our family. He gave her a fake backstory and name, so when he left, she had no way to contact him to let him know she was pregnant. It took her until 3 months ago to finally get in touch with him. This has caused a whole scandal in my family because my brother is the last person anyone would think would accidentally father a child. My cousins all thought this would knock him off the golden boy pedestal, but my grandfather was worried my brother would never have kids, so this has had the opposite effect. From what my cousin / Stella's sister-in-law has told me, Stella was fuming when she found out because my nephew is 2 months older than her daughter, making him the first great-grandchild. My brother is trying to convince Kira to relocate to our city when she brought their son so our family could meet him. We were all on our best behaviour. Stella hated it. She kept complaining everyone was treating my nephew better than they had ever treated her daughter, and she started accusing my grandfather of being misogynistic. After the third day of her complaining, I told her to stop being a bitter cow because her daughter was no longer the first great-grandchild. She's since told everyone what I said, and my aunt scolded me for being insensitive and basically made this whole thing about Stella and how hard it was for her. My cousin also sent me a long message which essentially said I was an insensitive asshole. Am I the asshole? Now this one confused me a bit. Is there something you get, or is there some sort of title you get for having the first great-grandchild? I don't quite understand it, and it all seems a bit petty to me in my opinion, but maybe I just don't know. Maybe I'm missing some kind of tradition or something here, so I do apologize if I am, but it just seems really petty. But I think this is going to be in Everyone Sucks here. Cousin-in-law is definitely an arsehole for the way they're acting. They're like crowning their child the number one grandchild. But at the same time, you a little bit suck for the way you spoke to her. There was just no way to go down the road of calling her a bitter cow because of it. You know, there was such better ways to approach it, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with an Everyone Sucks here because why the hell not? And let's check out some comments to see what they say. And Fuzzy Mike says, you were doing fine, right up to the word cow. Between your cousin's silliness and your rudeness, everyone sucks here. And What Ep says, just out of curiosity, is there something they get for having or being the first great-grandchild? And OP says, they think they get a bigger inheritance, but my grandfather has never said anything about it. It's just an assumption they made. What the hell? So is everyone racing to have babies to get a piece of the inheritance? What kind of craziness is this? And Nox Wild says, what's the big deal about being the first great-grandchild? Why would the first one be any more special or different than any subsequent great-grandchild? What a weird thing to be all braggy and proud about. And Administration This says, everyone sucks here. This is a ridiculous tradition based on birth order, and it's always really gross when people worry about their inheritance. Stella isn't asked for crowing about her baby was the first and now crying that isn't true. You're the arsehole for the way you chose to speak to her. Your brother, the golden child, is the biggest arsehole in the story for giving a false name and now trying to get this woman to relocate to him rather than maybe relocating to be close to her. Even without the relocating part, your brother is a gigantic arsehole. And GRWR44 says, everyone sucks here. Your brother put the, now, mother of his child in a difficult position by not being honest with her about who he was. Stella's complaints were poorly timed, though they may be legitimate. You're the arsehole for calling her a bitter cow. It's just rude and added oil to the fire. And Twas Brillig says, not the arsehole, your cousin is ridiculous. Just tell her you all love her baby to bits because of who she is, not the order in which she came, and that she's the only person who gives a damn about crap like that. Nobody else cares. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation and how would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Still Estranged 123. Am I the arsehole for telling my sister she's the worst thing to ever happen to me and I hate her even if she's changed and gotten help? I 31 female don't like my sister, Kate 37 female. She treated me like shit as kids and it's got worse as we got into middle and high school. Around that time she started drinking and doing drugs, and when she was 17 she ran off to live with her party friends. From then to 22 she only called to ask for money. At 22, she fell off the earth and we didn't hear from her until at 25, she came home sobbing, looking strung out. She begged for forgiveness and swore to get clean. We felt bad and took her in. For a year, she was better. She got a job and was going to the methadone clinic. One day, Mum and I were visiting a family friend 8 hours away, and when we got home, Kate and all her stuff, plus anything of value that wasn't nailed down, was gone. My laptop, our jewellery, TVs, DVD players, etc. An hour later, Grandpa called and said his water was shut off. We went to check it out and found the cover by the street side water valve open and the meter inside shut off. Luckily we checked inside before turning it back on because all the copper pipes had been stolen. It was obvious Kate robbed us all and skipped town. We called the cops to report it, but c'est la vie. A year later our grandpa died, leaving his things to Mum. He also left me some money. Sadly Mum was a wreck the next 4 years before she passed of a heart attack. She left everything but $150, which she left to Kate, to me. I was destroyed after. If it weren't for my friends, I don't know what would have happened to me. During all this, Kate only called twice. Once a week after Mum died to see if she was left anything. I'll admit I screamed at her, and once a year later to ask for money. I hung up on her. She recently DM'd me and apologised for how she'd acted before and after Mum passed. Then she told me she hit rock bottom after our last call and OD'd and died for 3 minutes before being revived. She said it motivated her to get clean, stay clean in the years since. She wrote how she wanted to make things right between us and she didn't want to lose her last family member. I understand addiction is terrible, and just because you're an addict, it doesn't make you evil and bad. And they deserve second chances too, but that being said, I hate Kate. I can't recall a single good memory with her. They are all bad. This is where I might be the arsehole. I wrote her back and told her so. I said I'd send her the money Mum left her, but I wanted her out of my life. As far as I was concerned, I was an only child with no remaining blood family, and that she was honestly the worst thing to happen to me, and I wouldn't piss on her if she was on fire. I said everything I'd bottled up for years. My friend said I was too harsh and could regret not trying to make amends. I could be wrong. Maybe my anger and grief are clouding my judgment. I know people change, and maybe I should be giving her another chance. So, am I the arsehole? Edit, some people DM'd me and asked if Kate ever replied to my message. She did, and it's clear from it that she's just as shitty now as she was before drugs, if not worse. I blocked her on everything I could think of, and if she somehow manages to contact me again, I'll get a restraining order on her. I mean, the edit pretty much sums up where your verdict's going to be on this one, because if she's still just as shitty, obviously she's going to be the arsehole in this situation. But even if we didn't consider that, no one's entitled to forgiveness, regardless of what they've done in their past. If you feel a certain way about them, a certain valid way about them, then, you're absolutely right to be doing so. You didn't have to let that person back in your life just because they're claiming they've changed. So absolutely not the arsehole in this situation for me. But let's check out some comments to see what they say. And we'll start off with So Valkyrie Mama saying, not the arsehole. It's great that Kate seems to be turning her life around. That doesn't mean you are obligated to forgive her or let her back into your life. I suggest you learn how to let go of your anger towards her for your own sake, but you don't owe her anything. And Crockpot Hotshot says, when my severely mentally ill mother tried telling me her mental illness absolved her of all her wrongdoing, since she has meds now, I told her just because you didn't have control over your actions doesn't mean they didn't have real effects on other people. I stand by that now as well. I go with not the arsehole, but I also think this is above Reddit's pay grade. You should maybe talk to a professional, because dealing with addiction in a family leaves a lot of scars, some easier to see than others. And Here Goes Nothing says, hold up, so your sister treated you terribly for your entire childhood, got addicted, and seemed to suddenly be changed, only to steal all your family's valuables soon after. No, she doesn't deserve any courtesy from you whatsoever. Not the arsehole. If she wants to change, you can choose if you want to let her back into your life somewhat, although that would be your choice to make, and I wouldn't judge you either way. Given the proximity in time between her change and the robbery, I do wonder if that was her plan in the first place. And OP replies to that saying, it sure looks like it in hindsight. I initially thought she was acting sorta odd maybe a month before she disappeared, but I just chalked it up to her being tired from work or something. I'd been so proud of her for being clean for a year, then she just robbed us and vanished. Some of my friends say to hell with her, while a couple say I'll regret not building the bridge back. I'm honestly leaning more towards to hell with her. And Bumbling Genius says, not the arsehole, maybe one day, far in the future, things will be better. Maybe Kate will manage to make amends in some way, shape or form. But for the time being, she has repeatedly caused massive negative events in your life, and I think it's reasonable for your forgiveness to be waiting behind a big old wall of apologies needed first, and gonna take a lot to trust you again. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation, and how would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. And I am aware I didn't leave too many comments on this one myself. Last couple of days is absolute chaos. A lot of stuff going on with my dad at the moment. And I'm actually having to go into the office at work for these next couple of days. So it's making things incredibly difficult. So I do apologize, but I will make it up to you soon. Don't you worry about that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.